Well, that does feel like a difference in moral system that has happened in the United States. I mean, it used to be, even when I was growing up, that people would say, it's a free country, you can sort of do what you want. And people don't tend to use that phrase too much anymore. There's a lot of talk about things that you shouldn't say, maybe you should be pushed into saying them, or things that or the other factors that are supposed to attend to justice beyond your own individual case. You talk about a lot of this in guilt by accusation, but this came out most famously during the Kavanaugh hearings, when it seemed as though the evidentiary necessity to prove a case against Justice Kavanaugh was completely thrown by the wayside by the media. The mere accusation was enough to slime him because obviously he was a white man in a position of privilege and power, as opposed to a woman who apparently who alleged that he had abused her without not only no evidence, but every single piece of evidence that she tried to stack up immediately fell apart, including people she said were at the party in which he somehow wronged her, saying that they weren't at that party and the party never took place. And still, we're told that Kavanaugh is some sort of rapist.
Right. Well, you know, when the Columbia School of Journalism had me interviewed for the Journal of Columbia Journalism, supposed to be the paradigm, the interviewer said, wait a minute, you can't be a victim of a false accusation. You're a white, old male. I mean, that's the way journalists now approach this problem. It's all identity politics. Doesn't matter what the evidence is, it matters who you are, not who you are, what you are, what your identity is. That determines whether you get free speech, whether you have trigger warnings, whether you are silenced, whether you're allowed to speak on campus, like the two of us have all kinds of difficulties speaking on campus. It has nothing to do with our ideas. They refuse to take us on based on our ideas. It's all about who you are. How dare you exercise your white privilege by coming on campus and telling us what you think?
So what do you think the future is for due process? I mean, that's the most basic right that we have, is this right to due process, the right to be treated according to the circumstance of our case and be judged on the merits of the case, as opposed to what you think of me as a human being, or more importantly, what you think of my group identity as a human being. That seems like it's going completely by the wayside. I mean, there were, as I say about Kavanaugh, there were full articles written about how because he was a powerful white male, he should not be given due process. He didn't deserve due process. And you've seen the definition of racism itself morph and change formally. People who used to say racism was discrimination on the basis of race will now say that it's discriminatory intent on the basis of race combined with power, which of course immediately suggests that if you're a member of a victimized group, that you can't be engaged in racism.
Or a sexist, or any other ist. You can't be an anti-Semite either if you're a member of an oppressed group. No, there's no question about that. Look, deep down, not very many people care about due process. People use due process and free speech for me, but not for thee. They generally tend to support it when it helps their side. When I was growing up, it was the liberals who wanted free speech because the conservatives, the right-wingers, were suppressing free speech on campus, particularly among communists. Today, it's the conservatives who want free speech because their rights are being violated. What we need are a core of people who support due process and free speech regardless of who benefits and who loses. The number of those people are very small. Now, I have to tell you, thank God for conservatives, because I think conservatives now have come to appreciate more than in the past the virtues of due process, fairness, free speech, dialogue, and all the rest of the catalog of liberties and civil liberties that I grew up taking for granted.
Did you know that every like on this video creates one additional leftist tear gleaming in the sunshine? Don't ask me why. That's called science. To take advantage of this amazing opportunity, hit the like button.